So I want to welcome everyone to the Innovate AT October First Friday. Today we have Clark Simpson with BOAT, Business of Athletic Training Academy, and then Labiba Russo, who is part of EBP Central, but also part of BOAT. And they are going to discuss Elevate Your Mind, just kind of bring the business concepts to the overall profession of athletic training and the individual who has the athletic training credential. So we're excited to hear what you guys are doing and going to discuss about the evolution of the profession and the professional that I mentioned. And we're building a great relationship between the two companies. So it's going to be an exciting time, and we want to take this content and leverage the future. So Clark and Labiba, I'll hand over the reins to you. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Sure. Well, thank you. Really appreciate being invited, Adam. And so really we have nothing exactly prepared. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about, probably to introduce ourselves and who we are and how BOAT came to be. As you all know, I'm Clark Simpson. I started the Clark Group Associates back a number of years, and Clark Group Associates is a consulting firm strictly in the sports medicine, athletic training space, working on the business of that. And so we work on anything in the business of athletic training, and that could be in private practice, that could be in health systems, that could be academia. My background, I've been a private practice owner. I was vice president of a health system for a number of years. I have an MBA, have a clinical master's in clinical kinesiology, exercise physiology, and for some of you may know my name from, for 4 years, I was the national manager of strategic business development for the NATA. So it was from a lot of that experience and really working with athletic trainers all over the country and getting business questions and you know, how to move forward, really kind of formed a lot of, you know, what BOAT has become. So that's Clark Group. Labiba, why don't you talk a little bit about, you know, introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey everyone, I'm Labiba Russo. Great to be here. Adam, thanks so much for putting this together, but also for your vision of Innovate AT and looking to advance the profession. We're all in it with you. I started my career about 20 years ago. I worked for UPMC, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, in their continuing education department. Shortly after I started, I was recruited to be the first employee at Impact. So I've got a lot of business development, startup company experience. I worked at Impact for 15 years. When I left Impact, really wanted to stay involved with athletic trainers and the sports medicine community. So I became a BOC provider through EBP Central. And I've worked with a number of organizations. I work with the Indiana Athletic Trainers Association, Rothman Orthopedics. Obviously, I saw Clark about 1.5 years ago, and we started the conversation, and he was telling me what he was doing with the business side, and I had the platform and EVP Central where we could offer credits and build a whole platform for the business side of athletic training. And so we partnered together, and then after we got the academy up, we got together with Adam and some other organizations, and here we are.
So, and I'll take my relationship with Labiba back a little earlier when I was with the NATA and worked with that, and Labiba was with Impact. Then we worked together on that project and worked together on the Impact Trained Athletic Trainer and the whole certification of that and putting that together. So, so we had a great working relationship then, and being able to put that forward, and that's continued on. And so, yeah, we've kind of moved forward with where we're at. So with the Clark Group Associates, and we're all about the business of athletic training and what we're doing, and then with EBP Central and that platform, and being able to get together, and we formed BOAT, Business of Athletic Training Academy. You know, our whole objective here is the advancement of the athletic training profession through increasing value and worth. Now, if you're an athletic trainer, you've heard those words and you hear value and worth, you know, out the wazoo. From the business aspect, that's really where we're trying to come from, and And a lot of the things that are being done in the profession are pretty subjective. Those of us that work a lot in the business world know that it comes down to dollars and cents. So we know that we've got to be able to work with people to really understand the business and be able to get to that dollars and cents and be able to understand it, be able to explain it, be able to justify it from that standpoint. And whether that's, an AT position in any situation, or whether it's starting your own practice, whatever the case may be, you need that. So over the years, Labiba and I's experience in working with in a lot of different situations, I've heard time and time again after presentations, how do I get this education? How do I understand how to do this? And there just aren't that many business courses specifically, to the athletic trainer, athletic training. And so there are some here and there, and I think all of us have probably had those, whether it's at the NATA or state or district meetings, but to really have a focus on business. The other thing that we've noticed is that a lot of the business classes that we tend to have professionally are more about, hey, athletic trainer, you can do this, or we can do this as an athletic trainer. But it really doesn't get into the depths of, well, how do you do this? So if you go back and look at a lot of the courses that tend to come out in a lot of the association aspects are, yes, we can do this to kind of encourage all of us, and that is important. But if you're really in business, you need to know how to do it. What are the steps? What are the pitfalls you need to recognize? Who do I need to work with? How do I need to do that? So that is our goal with the Boat Academy, is really to go deeper and talk about the how-to and understand the operational aspects of the business. And again, and whatever that is, with Innovate AT, obviously you guys are entrepreneurs. You're into this. You're very interested in being able to have your own business and be able to move forward with and be able to stand alone as a clinician and as a professional. Well, how do you do that? And what do you go through? So, Adam and I have had, a lot of great conversations along that line, and I'm sure we'll continue to have those kind of conversations as we move forward. The courses are really about the business education and doing it, and how to move forward with that aspect. It's about the business education, not about CEUs. And so what we've found is, and in this day and age, and we know as athletic trainers we have to have so many CEUs to maintain our certification. If you're looking for CEUs and just do that, there's a lot of places that you can get just CEUs to maintain yourself at a much lower cost venue. Our philosophy is this is about really learning business and about the business aspect. So that is where we're coming from, is about learning business. And by the way, in taking the courses, that you get BOC CEUs from this. And as Labiba said, she's the expert on doing that and handles making sure all that meets BOC and the certification process. Labiba, anything to kind of add? I'm kind of rambling along here a little bit.
No, I think that's right. I'm showing my screen here, so just showing you some of the different courses that we have in the Academy. And as Clark said, we have the continuing education, and we will give you Category A credits, Category A credits, CEUs. But really, it's about what you get out of it as far as the content. And again, teaching you the ins and outs, not just here's an overview. It's really getting into it, and you walk away feeling like you've learned something. And that's the goal, of course.
Guys, and I'll ask some questions. Sometimes these First Fridays, they go in different directions. Sometimes we give presentations, sometimes we make it a little bit more informal. So to the audience, feel free to ask questions to Labiba and Clark, because this is really just around the concept of elevating your mind. Like, how do we do that? What does that mean? So when you guys have been in your careers, right, and you guys mentioned how diverse they are, and now we bring it fast forward to today's world and you have Boat Academy up and running, when an individual who is seeking more information, oh, by the way, they have their ATC credential, right? And I say that very distinctly, that what we're building is an opportunity for the individual to be successful. We're not just focusing on, I'm an athletic trainer. It's like, I'm Adam, I'm Clark, I'm Labiba, I'm Sarah, I'm Catherine. Yeah, I'm an athletic trainer, but I'm looking for advancement. So when those people who are seeking that advancement are either talking with you guys one-on-one or taking Boat Academy courses, what has been their response? How has it changed their mindset? Give us some examples, and then hopefully that sparks some questions from the rest of the audience about why kind of this partnership and your content is so important and valuable moving forward.
Labiba, you want to jump in there?
I mean, we've had nothing but positive response to the courses. Folks have said lots of good, exactly what Clark and I said earlier, good information, a deep dive into, and I don't have the statistics in front of me, but good information, a deep dive into the course itself and the topic. And we've had a lot of repeat customers. So folks that have come and taken one course and actually have enjoyed it. And the other thing is we are adding a lot of courses, and we're also open to suggestions. Tell us what you want. And I think our clients know that. We are ready to produce courses, put them together. We have a COVID-19 course. So we're relevant topics, things that are coming up, things are actually in our space right now. This isn't just courses that were put together 5 years ago and just sitting on here. We've updated them and put together relevant courses for today's times.
And besides a great question, Adam, as you do that, as far as just the understanding, we've created Boat Academy to be able to provide education on a number of different topics for people to look at that and be able to move forward with it. Business in general, and what we do. I was looking up, and I wanted Labiba to talk because I just got a testimonial from somebody that I've been working with. As an athletic trainer working to start an industrial practice, and to do that, and what she talked about is, I'm a novice in the world of business, and while I find Clark's knowledge and experience instrumental for my success, Clark has gone beyond just strategy and planning advice and has recognized the entrepreneurial spirit I had shining dimly and helped me to give it the spark it needed. It's promised me honest advice, constructive input to ideas, and provided encouragement to keep pursuing my ideas when imposter syndrome, as she calls it, sets in. I simply cannot express how grateful I am for the support he's provided me. So, kind of going along with the whole business understanding, and when I was thinking about this, the more educated you are, and it's true clinically, when you're very comfortable clinically and confident what you're doing, that just exudes itself with your patients and how you're handling it. I think we've probably all seen that and feel that. Well, the same thing is true from a business standpoint. When you are confident and understand what you're talking about and understand the business principles, that confidence exudes itself. And so if you're talking to, whether it's trying to talk to financing or bankers, et cetera, whether it's, talking to clients and encouraging them, or trying to get business through contracts, or et cetera, we all know, that your confidence has to come through. And I've always felt that confidence comes from actually having it. I've never been a good pretend guy, so I kind of want to have that behind me. So I feel like that it's very important for us to be able to understand and have a good, firm foundation of business concepts. You know, whether that's marketing, sales, in presenting ourselves, or how to run books, etc. Operationally, how to do a strategic plan, whatever the case may be. So the more and better that you are, the better, the more confident that you are in what you're doing. So that's one of the reasons I feel like that this is so important, and why we need more business courses, because being so few, we just need more to gain confidence.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna open it
We
up
hear
to the
that
audience.
from other healthcare professionals as well. Medical doctors, psychologists, physical therapists, they get the clinical training in school. They get the clinical training when they're working in the field. But the business side, unless you go out seeking it, it doesn't just happen to fall on your lap.
No, I'll kind of tap into that thought. I mean, we're all athletic trainers on the call. We've all been around the education. We've all been part of ATEP programs and No Katie. And what I've experienced is this underlining, I don't know, conversation that all athletic trainers want business to be included in the formal curriculum. And my response is they don't have any more hours in the day or in the week or the month or in their overall experience within the athletic training education to include business. That if the individual athletic trainer wants to go and learn business and they're in school, literally walk across campus and go to the business college and take some courses. So I think that's very just valuable for everyone to understand, is they can't include everything. So what we're doing is we're saying, all right, well, Clark and Labiba are already putting it together. They're finding experts in the field that want to present. Well, let's just create a seamless opportunity for the individual to do what Clark and Labiba are saying, which is sometimes you got to go seek it out on your own. And if you want to advance your career, well, there's got to be some self-accountability in it. And that's really why we're trying to bridge this gap and really support each other. Is the content is out there. You just have to work hard. You got to go find it. And it's not Katie, it's not NATA's responsibility to make everybody successful. How can we all work together to support the common cause that we're trying to achieve? So I'm going to open up I want to open up the floor, right? I want the audience to kind of ask some questions. And any of you can say, in my current position, I wish I knew more about what, because that will help everyone on the call understand other people are going through the same, difficult situations or trying to figure out how to advance. But that helps kind of frame this conversation around what needs to be developed. How can we all support each other? And that's the whole purpose of these Friday phone calls, is how do we create an encouraging, supportive environment? But if we don't speak up, we're never going to know. So does anyone have any idea of I wish I knew X and that they want to talk about? I'm going to start calling on people. You're going to get picked on if you don't answer. All right.
Adam,
so
I can go.
first. Oh, Tyler, go ahead. You're about to say something. Go ahead, Tyler.
I mean, general business, I think, is a good overarching category. But within that, I think the things that I've struggled with the most, just because in athletic training, especially a traditional setting that we don't cover, is once you leave that, is sales and marketing. It's just stuff we don't have to do. We go into a position, we do what we do. We're kind of expected to do certain things, and sales and marketing are just not something that I ever thought I would have to do originally. So that's probably my categories.
No, thanks.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And so, and I'll just dive in just because I'm kind of asking the questions. Would it be 101 in understanding the concepts of sales and marketing, or is it role playing? Kind of, this is how you implement it. There's a lot of different ways to take the sales and marketing bucket deeper to give you support. What do you think it would be?
I don't think it'd be the one-on-one stuff. I know maybe other people are like me, but once I started doing stuff inside the sales sector or working with you, I mean, you can go Google stuff and read, and understand principles pretty quickly. But yeah, I guess mentorship slash situational understanding, because I know like we get a lot of situational experience with our clinical practice, and that obviously we don't just study it from a book. So having some type of situation like that with some clinical relevance, kind of like, clinicals with sales and marketing would probably be beneficial.
Yeah, so like real life experience type stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and I would say, with with our courses, kind of the idea would be, I mean, you're not going to learn everything that you ever want to know about sales and marketing from an hour course, right?
Yeah.
But if you've got we do have a colleague of mine who works with Fortune 500 companies and teaches sales and marketing, that's working on developing a track of courses like this. But again, even taking 4, 5, 6 courses, as you said, Tyler, you need mentoring, you need coaching. So the opportunity for any of our faculty is, when you see a course, to be able to reach out to faculty, be able to talk to them and go deeper with people and contact them. Many of the people that we have that are on faculty have their own businesses, do their own consulting, and et cetera. And so we have opportunities to do that, much like, Boat Academy is created by Clark Group Associates and EVP Central. So Clark Group, I do consulting, much as I kind of read from the young lady that I worked with. I do a lot of mentorship and et cetera with startups and entrepreneurs and trying to work with that, as I did with her. So that opens up some of the opportunities, maybe taking a course, got an hour. I love what that guy had to say, and be able to move forward with them and see how it could progress from there.
Gotcha. That sounds good. Yeah.
Tom, I'll ask you, just because you have the experience of, you had a business, like you were mentioning before people jumped on, and that you were, fortunate to be able to kind of sell that company, and now you're doing something new. What has your experience been? What have you learned? And, for the younger generation of athletic trainers that are starting to go into the private business and they're focusing on sales and marketing, what advice do you have, and how does that translate into supporting Clark and Labiba?
Well, when I got started, I just jumped into it. I think there's pros and cons to that. As an entrepreneur, you figure things out as you go along. And that's, there's benefits to that and there's not. So I would say, I wish I had this when I was starting out, because I really just was winging it, and, made a lot of mistakes, probably which cost me a fair amount of money. So, I had a couple different businesses. My service was one of my businesses. We had to hire accountants. We had lawyers. I just didn't really know what I was doing, but take a step further. I created a product as well. And that whole process was figuring out as I went along. And I really, really probably lost a lot of money on that. Not lost, but there was a lot of money that I left on the table with that. So I think having people who understand, the processes, it's hard as an entrepreneur, especially when you get started, to spend money, and because you don't know what your ROI is going to be. But I think it's probably wiser to spend money up front to learn or to get the advice and the consulting versus, trying to reinvent the wheel.
No, that's helpful. I mean, it's really, right, we work with athletes. What do athletes do that want to get better? I mean, they hire a coach. So there's really no reason someone that's going into business should hire a coach. It's kind of the same model. Does anyone else have any other experiences they want to share or questions?
Adam, I'll go.
Yep, perfect.
So I think kind of this ties a little bit into what Tyler was saying, but for lack of a better term, working on like the elevator pitch and being able to take those big ideas and those big concepts where if I have 20 minutes, it's very clear and you have that, everything makes sense, but really being able to take all those big ideas and that information and bring it down into that 90 seconds, that 3 minutes to really get someone's attention. And that being able to translate into that skill, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Clark and Labiba, what do you guys have in regards to the elevator pitch? Because I mean, that's the conversation starter for everyone on the phone, no matter what they're doing. Is there a course you have around that? Have you talked about developing something like that?
No, we don't. We don't have a course specifically, to that, et cetera. Whether the marketing and sales, as we go forward with that, I haven't seen his entire outline. So, Catherine, that very well may be kind of broached with that. I know in working with Kevin on things like that, that elevator pitch comes, and I know Adam can speak to this. I know Labiba can. That comes with a lot of great effort on your part. I mean, you can have a course and et cetera and learn how to go through that, but and I'm sure Tom can speak to this. You think about, strategize, what are you going to do, and keep refining your focus and what you're going to do, and move that down, and keep challenging yourself of the why and what's going on with that. So, so some of the condensing down to that elevator speech, somebody can tell you how to do it, but when it's your business and your work, much like with Boat Academy and what we're doing, or our individuals, or what Adam is, he's getting very good at it with Innovate AT. But Adam, you weren't so good at it when you first started, right? In doing that. And now as you're talking with investors and with other companies and coming into that, you find out what works and what doesn't. So I think there is an outline that you can kind of look at it, but ultimately it comes down to really, really thinking about what is your focus. And it's almost purity by fire. You've got to burn off all the excess to get down to that core of what it is you're all about. And that takes a lot of effort that a lot of people are not willing to put in. It's hard work to think through and develop what your focus is and what you're going to do. What are you really good at? What is your core? What is your core service that you're wanting to do? Usually we think, and I don't know how Tom started, usually we start out with this big funnel. We're going to do all this, but we find out that after we get started and do it for a while, that it really refines down to a core solid aspect we're doing.
Yeah,
Does any of that make sense? Yeah, Labiba, jump in. Labiba's great at this.
No, I'm not. I think, so I love the idea of a sales and marketing category, and that's why we're here today. We're here to get some ideas from you, figure out what you need, and I love the elevator pitch. And back to what Tyler said, mentorship. Maybe we do a 30-minute course, Clark, on how to write your elevator pitch, but turn it into more like a lab where, okay, first thing I want you to do is sit down and think about what you're good at, or who you are, or what you want, what message you want to convey. And I think that's a great idea for a course, how to develop that elevator pitch. Obviously, you are going to keep going and updating it, as Clark said, and once you do it, you can't just stop. But that is a great idea for a course. And I think Clark and I can, regroup and say, all right, let's add some of these courses based on the needs that Catherine and Tyler are giving us. So I love that idea. I love the sales and marketing category. And I think that how to develop that elevator pitch, or how to redo it. Maybe we have 2 half-hour courses on how to start it. And then 1 year later, how to redo it, how to clean it up, how to make it even better. But I think these are great ideas, and I definitely see a need. And, again, Clark and I will get together and find out who can put these together for you guys, and whether we're trying to get mostly athletic trainers, as our faculty, but maybe we do need to get someone in the business field to come and put a course like that together. So I love those ideas.
Yeah, and I think the guy I mentioned, Kevin Huff, as I said, he and his partner do sales training for Fortune 500 companies. So they do sales training for Verizon, for example, and stuff like that. So they're obviously teaching them how to refine. I mean, if you're at Verizon and you're doing stuff over the phone, you better be really good, really quick at being able to capture somebody's attention. So, and Kevin is not an athletic trainer, but he does. I've known Kevin for some time. He gets us. He's done some other presentations. I had him do something at GLADA a few years ago, and has done some other work. So he's been around athletic trainers and enough to understand kind of where we're coming from. So he's one aspect, but as we all know, there's a lot of people doing sales and marketing work out there, but I agree. That's where we want to go, and whether we have a special category, sales and marketing would be kind of under business development if we were looking at these, but probably ought to have a special so people can actually see, boom, here's sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Todd, are you able to talk? I mean, sometimes people are at work and they just listen and they aren't able to speak. Can you contribute?
Yeah, I'm good for a few minutes, Adam. Yeah.
Perfect. So Todd is doing what a lot of quote unquote athletic trainers are doing across the country, which is they realize they have value and they want to bring their value to the end customer, which separates them from quote unquote the traditional model, right? Where we're just an employee and you work at a school and you deliver service. Todd's going into a profession that kind of doesn't exist. He's doing the private practice. So what Todd is doing is he's seeking information from other resources that do exist in other industries. So he's kind of tapped into the personal training industry and the fitness industry to get some of the stuff we're talking about. But Todd loves that we're a community of athletic trainers. We're supporting each other. We're trying to advance the profession. So the question is, Todd, what have you seen in the other industries that already exists that you're finding a lot of value from that we could start to incorporate for the niche of athletic training?
Yeah. So the biggest thing, kind of listening to what some of you guys were saying, and then I was just kind of reflecting on, what I've gotten out of the one coaching mentorship that I'm in right now is like the courses. I've looked through some of the things that the Clark Group and the boat offers, and the stuff is awesome. My biggest thing that I've gained from this mentorship that I'm in is it's like a one-stop shop. And when I 3 years ago when I first started trying to kind of navigate what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, I was kind of picking and choosing something from here, a course from there, article from here, a podcast from there. But then when you get to the end of the week and you have 17 different opinions from 17 different groups or 17 different people, they're all conflicting. So the thing that I really like is everything's from, in this case, it's a couple who, very successful personal trainers, and they give you the kind of the outline for, how to, success is so overused and vague, very vague, but how you can implement certain ideas and protocols and, whatever it may be to get to your definition of success. And so you guys talk about sales and marketing, and Catherine mentioned the elevator pitch, and that stuff's awesome. And having a lab on that or something would be great. But then kind of what Clark said is it doesn't come from a 30-minute brainstorming session. It comes from defining your niche, then finding the sub niche, the subcategory, then the second subcategory, and then from there you have a very specific group of people you're marketing to. Then you can figure out your service you want to give. Then you can kind of have that that really defined sentence of, if somebody asks you what you do, this is exactly who I help. This is exactly how I help them. And it's a 1 or 2 sentence thing every single time. You don't have to think about it because you went through that process of refining who you treat, what you do, and who you provide that service to. So that's kind of like where that whole mentorship starts out, and then it just kind of builds from there. And so I was kind of rambling. Sorry.
No, that was perfect.
No, that was great.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, I'm gonna call on other people. Andrea, so I'm glad you're raising your hand. Let me unmute you. There you go. I hit it. There you go.
Hey. Oh,
Hi.
okay. You can hear me now. I guess it was a little bit of a spinoff to the whole marketing discussion that we're having. So I started the LLC about a year ago, and I think just ATs have like this this unique hurdle that we always have to go over because nobody knows, especially working with the public. Not so much, you know, if we work in the athletic population, people know who we are. But then you start branching out into the public, nobody knows who you are. It's very much trying to, again, that elevator pitch and kind of if your audience or your clientele is the public, how we can best describe who we are, because sometimes they're like, oh, so you're a PT, or oh, you're an occupational therapist, or oh, you are. So what is it that you do? Or even just the confusion with personal training. So I guess it's very, we just have that unique because of our trade name. There's a lot of confusion as to what we do, who we are, and how we do it. So it'd be great to learn from you guys with your business background to better understand how we can kind of get over that hurdle, I guess, in a more efficient way. I don't want to be my website and everything. It's just, it's almost like it's too much verbiage about what an athletic trainer is. You kind of lose interest from the public a little bit. I'd really like to, how we can better do these types of things. I think it's kind of partial question, partial statement, I guess, in the stuff that I've been kind of hung up on as well in the marketing area.
I'll give a quick response. What I've learned from a lot of different people is, like, if we listen to that statement, that is common across the country. And it's this, no one knows what athletic trainers are, right? They think we're horse trainers, personal trainers, all that kind of stuff. That is when we are trying to put ourselves in a box. And we're trying to define ourselves as a title. And I challenge every one on the call and every, like, quote unquote athletic trainer all the time, stop identifying ourselves as an athletic trainer and flip it and say, I'm Andrea, here are my skills, I want to help you. Because it literally, they don't care that you're an athletic trainer. Like, no one cares. The only people that cares about athletic trainers are athletic trainers. But if you have someone that's in front of you and they have a knee issue, be like, hey, I'm Andrea, let me see if I can help you. And then just start talking to them and ask them questions about what they're feeling, what they aren't able to do. And then they'll, like, open up to you and they'll tell you how you can possibly help them. And then when you have an answer, that wall has been dropped, the resistance has been dropped, you know, the barrier has been dropped. And then they might say, how do you know all this stuff? Well, you know, I went to school, I'm an athletic trainer, blah, blah, blah. But that's not important. What's important is I'm Andrea, you're Bob, and I can help your knee. And I think it just helps kind of frame the conversation around it's you that you're selling. It has nothing to do with athletic training. And I know we're just so hung up on this idea of, well, we're a healthcare professional, people need to recognize this more, yada, yada, yada. If you're talking to a one-on-one person, they just want to know how you are the solution for their pain point. So that's kind of my insight on what I've seen for all these years. And I'm on different committees within the NATA, and there's a lot of leadership that I truly respect, and that's been their testament to other athletic trainers, is like, just focus on being you. It's not about, I'm a high school athletic trainer, I'm a college athletic trainer. It's just go by your name and see if you can help them with their pain point. So does anyone else have any other thoughts around that for Andrea? No?
Yeah,
Clark?
Adam.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. That the titles, that it's not going away. It's not going to change. And we're beating a dead horse. And I think you've just flipped the narrative. Think differently. We have so much to offer. And I just reiterate what you said is we have so many skills. Focus on what your skills are and how you can help them. And, athletic trainer. Shoot, call yourself an athletic therapist. Quite honestly, you know, the title doesn't mean anything. So I think you're spot on with that, Adam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
Adam.
like, yeah, we have to be athletic trainers because that's how you're going to practice, you know, legally in the state. And if they ask you, you can tell them what your background is, but I wouldn't just start with it, right? I wouldn't lead with it.
Yeah, Adam, to kind of build off of that, like for example, I worked with a guy, and it wasn't until like our third session he even knew I was an athletic trainer. Like he didn't care. He just heard from someone I could help him. So that's a good point.
No.
Yeah, and this is Clark. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I had to switch mics, but and I think it's about branding. We've you know, to your point, you know, Adam, that we hear and this discussion, you know, we've kind of looked to the NATA and to the profession to brand athletic training, athletic trainer, and to get everybody on the same page and to think of that. To your point and to what has been said here, it is about us. You know, Tom, I know when he had his business in Indianapolis, when I knew him there and stuff like that, same aspect. People looked at him, you know, what can he do? How can he help them, et cetera. He just happened to be an athletic trainer and et cetera. So if we, to your point, Adam, and that you bring is be us, do what we do well, and et cetera, that will brand athletic trainer as a good thing. When they find out you're an athletic trainer, now that will be the positive brand for athletic training, right? So we have to be the ones to do that. We can't have an association or you know, bureaucracy do it for us. We as the professionals have to change the brand.
Yeah, I mean, Clark's saying it best, and I say this all the time. The NATA is a national organization. So their job is to focus on the credential. They're elevating the waters for anyone with the credential to be successful. But that does not mean they can help Adam make more money, Andrea make more money, right? Catherine make more money. They physically and structurally do not have the bandwidth, have the capability, anything. Like, it's not even possible. So if we say to what Todd was mentioning, I'm just going to use you, Andrea, because you kind of started the question. I'm Andrea. I love working with swimmers. I was a swimmer. I know everything about the sport of swimming. I'm just going to go after swimmers in my community. When you open up to a swimmer and you start talking the lingo, you understand the pain points, you understand the competition circuit, right? Whatever goes into that sport, they realize like, oh, this person's one of us. Oh, you can help me? Yeah, where do I sign up? Because these people that we're all going after trying to help, they all have performance goals. They're spending money on those performance goals. They want to get better so they can continue to compete in the performance goal. And they want an expert to help them, right? Well, what does that sound like? Well, yeah, it sounds like an athletic trainer, right? Obviously, because that's what we do in our profession and this whole traditional model. But it's really just find that niche in your community that you know everything about and go after them. And you'll just start talking to them and they'll realize like, yeah, this person is exactly who I need to talk to. I don't need to open up the phone book. I don't need to go to Google. I just need to talk more with this person. Does that help, Andrea?
Oh, yes, very, very much so. Yeah. I think, I guess I've subconsciously been doing that, obviously through interactions and whatnot. I've been able to kind of get the clientele moving. I guess it's more electronically, you know, via other marketing strategies to kind of bring people in, since I can't be everywhere all at once. And especially with limitations due to COVID, it's been electronically marketing has been a little bit difficult, like in just saying who we are and what we do. And, you know, this was all really, really helpful feedback. Definitely absorbing all of it.
The other thing that's really difficult for athletic trainers, right? And this is, I'm speaking for myself, right? Everyone knows that we're building something big. I don't do anything clinically. I'm kind of building this business as working with the clinical athletic trainers. But what's really hard for all of us to remember is when we put on our athletic training hat, we can help anyone with a musculoskeletal injury. Anyone. Doesn't matter what sport, doesn't matter how old they are, we can help anyone because that's our entire training. You can't do that from a business model standpoint. It's impossible. You can't serve every population on the planet and figure out where to go and where to spend marketing dollars and where to spend your time and where to spend your resources. Everyone has to say, I'm going to go after this one niche to start. And whatever it is, it's up to you. No one cares, that are supporting you from like a consulting or coaching standpoint. It's wherever you feel you're going to gain the most traction, go there. And then if you help people and they like it, they're then going to open up new doors into new markets for you. So that's kind of everything that Clark was saying is like, well, we can help as much as we can, but we're not the ones doing it. We're not the ones implementing it. Each person has to recognize I'm an expert of this sport because of my background. And it could be your professional work as an athletic trainer, or it could be, I've loved being a skier my entire life. I know the sport. Why don't I just start to go after skiers? Right? There's no door that you have to go through other than what's the one that is the open the most because of your background. And then people have family, they have friends that are in other sports, and your business opportunities will start to open. But I challenge everyone to say, okay, what is the one market I'm going to go after? And then to what you just said, Andrea, all of your social media, all of your digital marketing, all of your written marketing, all of your conversations are for 1 month to 6 months. No, I help people in this sport, and here's why. Because I've been an athlete my whole life, and I want to help everybody continue to cross the finish line. And they're, a triathlete or something like that. But everybody will be more successful. But what's hard, like I started with, we know we can help everyone. Well, yeah, well, let's go after everyone. That doesn't work in a startup. You can't do it. It's impossible.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam, to piggyback on that a little bit, and to kind of speak to the marketing piece of it, your best piece of marketing is going to be word of mouth. That's where you're going to grow your business. And I don't know what you think, Clark and Labiba, about that, but I spent money on Facebook, Instagram, but it's like Adam said, you get that one customer and you do a great job. And you're like, oh, wow, they fixed my knee in a matter of 2 days. Well, they're going to tell their sister, and then they're going to tell their whoever it is. And then that's how my business grew. It was, I had a couple of doctors who would refer. And then it became like, hey, can you see my son? Yeah, sure. And that's where you're going to get most of your marketing is word of mouth. Any thoughts on that, Clark, Labiba?
Yeah, well, Tom, I absolutely agree. And my rehab practice that I owned was completely built on that. I used to meet with physicians and they were obviously, I had a new startup. My comment to them was, hey, if you're happy with where you're sending your patients and that sort of thing, then you don't need me. You don't need to send any. But if you're not, send me patients, and if they get good outcomes and you like what you get, move forward with it. And that's how the entire business was built, on positive outcomes, customer service, a good documentation, moving that around. So absolutely, it's relationships to do that. Social media is a connect to do that. So that's kind of relationships. So it's, we try to get, Adam and I talked about this, to you all out there. If you like something that's going on with Innovate AT, or like a post that Adam does, please share it. Don't just like it, share it. That's going to your people. Labiba and I feel that all the time. We do a posting about a course or something with Boat. I get a lot of likes. Well, and I'm really glad that you like it, but share it. If you like it well enough, share it on your thing. So yeah, Tom, I totally agree with you, and very much a grassroots. That's the strongest foundation for business.
Yeah, word of mouth is great from patient to patient, but getting those referral sources, referring back to them, sending them a simple thank you card. Get a card with your name on it or the business on the front. Hey, thanks for the referral. Thanks for believing in my services. So, and then find out who their friends are, who the doctors that are referring to you, and give them a call, send them a letter, send them an email. Hey, this is what I've done for folks like you. I'd love to be a referral source for you. So I know referrals are a really big deal from healthcare provider to healthcare provider. So give them a call, find them places. If there's a local American Medical Association, but it's local to you within your state or your city, go and meet people and hand out business cards. But those referrals are key, especially, like I said, from healthcare provider to healthcare provider. I think those are key for athletic trainers who are in private practice.
It's about relationships, and so I think it's building on what Tom you said, and it's personal referrals, but we are in a relationship business, and even if it's big business, it's developing relationships with the physicians, with other companies, or whatever the case may be. As I'm working with state associations, I'm working on developing relationships with insurance companies or with employers of ATs. It is about relationships. So, I think that all builds on, what Tom, you said, Adam, you said, and certainly, agree totally with Labiba.
Yeah, and I'll give one more nugget to Andrea, just because she's kind of new to these calls. Everyone else has heard me say this. The profession of athletic training is a service degree, right? So everything we learn in school is focused on we have to be as accurate as possible. We cannot be wrong with like a Lockman's, because if they tore their ACL and we put them back in the game, that's a problem. So by trade, we have to be correct. And we are in a profession where we want to be liked, and almost we have to be liked to build that trust for the athletes to come to us, and the coaches to come to us, and the parents to come to us. So we are not supposed to be wrong with anything, and we're supposed to be this trusted resource. That is the complete opposite of what it means to be a business owner, and especially when you're starting a new business. When you are starting a new business, you have to be a risk taker. You have to understand that you're going to get 7 no's before you get a yes. And that doesn't mean that they don't like us. It doesn't mean that they don't like athletic training. They don't believe in us. It means that their no has 1,000 reasons why. They don't get paid until next week. They're going on a vacation. They just lost their job. So when you start to try to build a business, you literally have to take everything you learned in school off the table and say, I am trying to get a new customer, and I might have to have 50 conversations before I get one yes. But when you get one yes, you're like, oh, someone likes it. So someone believes in what I'm doing. I want to do it again. And you have to get hungry to do the clinical service over. So I just say that because we get hung up in this. Well, I asked one person and they said no. Okay, well, how are the other 10 people that you have in the pipeline? But like, if you're really trying to build a business, Andrea, you have to talk until you start to get traction on what we said the whole time. Oh, now I have my pitch condensed to 20 seconds. I know what people are listening to, which is gravitating, which is now leading to customers.
And expect that no. I mean, that's expected up front, and be ready for it and just move on. It's like you're looking for something in a big pile. You got to get through all the junk to get to the one thing that you were looking for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to have thick skin, right? If there's one thing I know Labiba and Clark and I can tell you is you can't take anything personal. It has nothing to do with you. Like, there's all these external factors why people say yes or no. Never take anything.